College and University of Guelph Humber students. Welcome to Ignite's Anti-Black Racism Roundtable discussion in partnership with Humber's Center for Human Rights, Equity, and Diversity, and the Black Academic Success and Engagement Equity Hub. Our goal with this video series is to establish the fight against anti-Black racism as a prominent and enduring theme in the minds of students, so you can be the vehicles for change in the collective effort to serve justice for Black communities. Today we'll be focusing on what anti-Black racism is, how it shows up in our day-to-day lives, and how it's distinct from other forms of racism.
Hi, my name is Neil Price, and I'm today's moderator, and I work in education.
Hi, my name is Nupal Kiazolu. I'm 20 years old, and I'm the president of Black Lives Matter Greater New York.
Hi, my name is Kiosha Love. I'm an artist, activist, and educator, and founder of Our Women's Voices.
Hi, my name is Erica Johnson, and I am Ignite Student Engagement Coordinator for the Lakeshore Campus.
Hi there, my name is Anthony Morgan. I am a racial justice lawyer.
My name is Ibram X. Kendi, and I'm the author of How to Be an Anti-Racist and Stamped from the Beginning and other books. And I'm a professor of history and the director of the new Boston University Center for Anti-Racist Research.
Thanks. Anthony, how would you define anti-Black racism?
I define anti-Black racism as policies and practices that are embedded within institutions that reflect and reinforce biases, attitudes, stereotypes, prejudice, and discrimination that is directed towards people of African descent and rooted in our unique and particular histories of enslavement and colonization.
And where do you see it manifested?
When it comes to anti-Black racism, it manifests in all systems and all functions of society, but most especially in the areas of employment, education, housing, healthcare, policing, and the justice system, just to name a few, but those among the major systems where we see anti-Black racism manifest.
And one of the things that I've noticed is that the term itself has gotten a lot of traction, I would say, in the last 5 years. I first encountered it in the 90s with, I think, a report that came out that used the term. Perhaps someone else coined it, but is there something about the fact that it's now a popular term that makes it useful? Is there a concern that it's being overused? Just wondering if you can comment on the term itself and how popular and sort of prevalent it is.
Sure. I think there's from the folks I work with to address systemic discrimination, particularly as it relates to Black populations, we tend to be happy to see that the languaging has gained a level of mainstream traction because it's really important to speak in specific terms when we're talking about the specific ways in which stereotypes apply to Black people or biases and negative attitudes. And because they're rooted in the histories of Black people, you have to be able to name anti-Black racism. Similarly to the way in which we think about anti-Semitism, it's not to suggest that other forms of religious prejudice are not as important, but the Jewish community has been very effective in helping us to understand that there's a very particular history that we're speaking to of discrimination against Jewish people that we have to be able to name and address if we actually want to build the kinds of societies we say we're out to build: just, inclusive, fair, and equitable. So similarly with anti-Black racism, you have to name it as a specific phenomenon because it has specific and particular manifestations. You won't be able to get at that if you just use the language of racism more generally. It's by way of analogy, I like to think about it the way we address cancer. Right? It's one thing to talk about cancer generally, but if you really want to address specific kinds of cancers, you have to talk about lung cancer and heart cancer and throat cancer and have that level of specificity to inform your approach.
I wonder if others can chime in on this question and add another question, and that is, what do we say to those who say, well, why focus on anti-Black racism only? Why not racism that's experienced by people who are South Asian or racism that it's experienced by folks who are East Asian, et cetera, et cetera? What do we say in response to those kinds of comments that we often see?
I tell people all the time to not refer to me as a person of color because I am a Black woman. And when you put Black people in the same category as people of color, you're essentially implying that all of our struggles are the same. And they are not. Now, there are some things that do intersect, but there are things that distinctify what Black people go through and what people of color go through. And then it's also important to highlight that there is a lot of anti-Black racism within the POC community. We can talk about like Southeast Asian people. I'm from New York, and I've experienced anti-Black racism with Southeast Asian people on multiple encounters. So it's really important for us to distinctify what is a person of color and how we identify Black people in this country and across this globe. So that's what I would highlight within that question.
Thank you. Kiosha, you wanted to comment there.
I was just going to say that I think when we talk about anti-Black racism, it isn't diminishing or invalidating racism that people of color experience. It's literally just talking about the very unique things that we experience as Black folks and why it is so different and why it is so unique. We're not saying that racism as its own entirety doesn't exist. We're saying that it looks so different, that it looks so unique, that we need to identify and address it for what it is so that we can dismantle it in appropriate measures and in appropriate ways.